What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Bill Haney, Devin Haney, and Gary Russell Jr. Okay, let me start off with this whole debacle, this back and forth over a possible fight between Gary Russell Jr. and Devin Haney. Okay, now, of course, we knew a few weeks ago it was the target for Gary Russell was Terrence Crawford. So he was willing to go from 126 up to 147. It's damn near 20 pounds. Okay, that is how many weight classes? 1, 2, 3, 4 weight classes? 3. And Gary Russell lately has called out Devin Haney, which is about 11 pounds, 11 pounds south, and they have a fight supposedly in play. And Gary Russell did have some valid points. He was like, "Well, if you were intending to fight me, why didn't you contact your promoter and the network before you even sent offers?" Okay, and I don't believe you guys really want the fight. So Bill Haney said this. Okay, so he said, "And I told you before we get down, I said, hey, if Al Heyman is interested in putting up the money for you and you getting a world title, you said Al's not interested. He said if they would put up the money, then you with it. You said you didn't want mine. You said you didn't want DHP money. You didn't want that. We told you we got a 1.5 million for you personally. You said you didn't like that. You didn't want to deal with us with the terms of the 1.5. So guess what? We found somebody that would agree to your terms. Your terms." Oh, wow. Okay, well, Devin Haney and Bill Haney, they're pissed off. Bill's pissed because it comes off like Gary Russell, which it was a good question, but I see what Bill's saying too. It's like, well, why would we go to him with an offer when you didn't want the offer and you didn't even want the money that we sent you or that you agreed that you would take? Now you said you didn't want it, but then you question why we didn't ask that. We have to come to him with the offer to okay it with the network. So look, it's been a lot of back and forth. Will this fight happen? I'm not sure if the fight will happen. I'm not sure if, I think the promotional differences and how these guys do business, I don't think it'll come to that point, and I do question in the first place, how did Gary Russell Jr. end up with fighting or wanting to fight Devin Haney? I get Devin Haney's the WBC champion. And if he beats him, he can get possibly a unification with Lomachenko. But then here's the thing. You call out Terrence Crawford. Then you're negotiating, quote unquote, with Devin Haney. But Lomachenko's there and he's going to fight Teofimo. And then yet I haven't heard you call him out. You called out Leo Santa Cruz. You wanted him for the longest. You called Lomachenko out a long time ago after he beat you. And you wanted him. I think this is what I get from Gary Russell. Gary Russell, sure, he wants to fight everyone. But it would seem like to me you would want to fight the guy that gave you your first loss. That would be your main priority. However, I know Lomachenko had already jumped up 2 weight classes, but, I don't see you coming after Haney unless it was to get through Haney or go through Haney to get through Loma. But that hasn't been revealed to us. No one has said why this Devin Haney fight is happening. Maybe he specifically targeted it for that weight class because he knows Loma is there. But A person like Gary Russell is a guy that's brash. He speaks his mind. You know, it's like I think he a lot of times he seems angry in a certain situation. He's nobody to play with. He's not. You know, and based on how his career went over on the PBC, he was that pioneer guy. He was that standalone guy that didn't fall for all the hey, give me fights. And I think because of that, that's why he's been fighting once a year on top of the surgeries that he has on his hands. So that tells you something else. The man punches with bad intentions and he wants to inflict pain on his opponents. You know, and I feel that he may want to cash out, maybe, at a higher weight class, because a lot of times that didn't go well for certain fighters. It didn't go well for Rigondeaux. Remember him? So, man, I really look at this debacle as something that may not be resolved. And what does that mean for Gary Russell? Gary Russell, would have to, I guess, resort back to Al Haymon, because Al Haymon loves an island of he has an island of fighters that he only is interested in them fighting each other, not looking at other islands, not taking a boat and taking a trip over there. He doesn't like that. He doesn't like to visit other islands, meaning other promotional companies and outfits. He wants to stay in house. He wants to stay on his island, and he wants his fighters to stay on that island with him. And that's just the fact of the matter. So we may or may not ever see that fight. But then, who would you ideally want to see Gary Russell fight? I'd rather want him to fight Lomachenko again. And I'm about to watch the replay of that fight just to see how that went, because I was very impressed with the hand speed of Gary Russell, but then I was very impressed with Lomachenko also. Anyway, you guys tell me what you think about this debacle between Haney and Russell. Of course, please subscribe, and you guys been counterpunching. Peace.